John, stand by. Turn over now. Turning. Sound running. Action!
No matter what you are.
The cry action meant that I had to start pedaling with the van in full pursuit. Well, hold on to your seats, because here we go. Falling through space was fantastic.
When you think about the pantheon of presenters on British television, not just the BBC, there's no question John Noakes is up there. He is one of the very, very best.
Suddenly I feel awfully alone up here.
Climbing the mast at HMS Ganges and tightrope walking. I mean, other people didn't do that sort of thing. That was John Noakes.
For all boys, particularly, he was the go-to guy who did something on telly that day before and you talked about it.
You might call that an avalanche.
The spirit of him, his gift to us really, is that he said, listen, you don't have to be prim about presenting.
Push it that way. That's it.
You can also bring a kind of sparkle to it as well. So thank you, John.
He was a kind of nice northern lad, really. You know, down to earth, but much more thoughtful and didn't play the fool when he was just with us.
Oh, never mind the sheep, just smell that moor air. They say it turns men into mice.
He was so shy, he wasn't an extrovert.
Oh, it's a wild and woolly night out there, lad, isn't it?
So he invented a character that he could be.
No matter what you are.
Besides, John.
Didn't he do?
John was a big star and he didn't even really realise it.
Hey, big cheer for us! Hey!
My greatest claim to fame is not being on Blue Peter. It's working with John Noakes.
The theme of the programme is adventure.
Yes, it's very difficult actually to say what Blue Peter is. It's many things, it's almost everything. We participate in things, we do things on film, we make things. But we never stand on the sideline and watch, we do it.
Nelson's column was a terrific Blue Peter epic. I mean, John was fearless and would have a go at anything.
Edward Barnes, who was the deputy head of children's programmes, he lived in Balham, and every day he'd come in via Trafalgar Square to get to Television Centre. And on one occasion, he saw a ladder up the side. And he came in, he said, oh, there's a ladder up Nelson's column, send someone down to see what's going on. So I was sent off to go and have a look. And I arrived, and I found the steeplejack on the square, Reg Docell, and I said to Reg, what are you doing? He said, oh, we're cleaning the pigeon droppings out from underneath Nelson's plinth. And I said, oh, it sounds very good. I said, would you mind if Blue Peter came down and make a film about it? We could bring John Noakes. And he was like, John Noakes, of course, John, yeah, wonderful. The doors used to fly open. He was such a big star.
John had actually come back from filming with the Forces gymnastics team. He was absolutely shattered and exhausted. Then they said, we've got the go-ahead for doing Nelson's column, but tomorrow morning. And so he was already feeling quite stiff and elderly when he set off that morning to do the film.
Ooh, I'm a bit stiff, I think. Here we go. It's a long way, isn't it? It is, yeah. How high is it? Oh, it's about 180 feet, I think. Is it? How are the ladders fixed on? They're roped quite firmly around the actual column itself.
We had a cherry picker in the corner of the square to get the big wide shot. And then I thought, health and safety. In fact, I didn't think health and safety. I just thought, how can I stop John from dying?
Oh, gummy, it's only held on with a rope.
I said, have you got any safety harnesses? They said, oh, yes, we've got a safety harness. They brought out this huge web-like thing. And it was quite heavy. And, of course, there was 180 foot of rope to go with it. John just took one look at it and said, I'm not wearing that, lad. I'll be safer without. I took Reg to one side. Are you sure about this? And they said, no, don't worry. He'd be so scared he'd be making dents with his hands at the side of the ladder as he goes up, which, of course, is not something you could ever put in a health and safety report.
You have to take a rest every so often when climbing a ladder this long. Otherwise, your muscles weaken and you could easily lose your grip and fall. Our cameraman, Terry, was waiting at the top, and he really did have a bird's eye view of me reaching the worst part of the climb.
I wasn't actually on the ground when he arrived, but he told me afterwards that he looked up there, he very nearly didn't do it.
At this level, the plinth on which Nelson stands overhangs the column.
I then noticed to my horror, the ladder at the very top of the column went back at an angle about 20 degrees.
It leaned out across the top, so you actually had to lean out to go around over the top of the parapet, and that was the most frightening bit of it.
I found myself literally hanging from the ladder with nothing at all beneath me.
He said he hadn't realised how strong you needed to be to actually support your weight as you came underneath the plinth.
You told me there was overhang, but you didn't tell me it leant to one side.
No, that was the awkward part.
I was safely on the ground with a pair of walkie-talkies, and he climbed over the lip onto the parapet. And I heaved a sigh of relief just when the walkie-talkie burst in, like, shh, Alex, he's got to do it again. It was the sound recordist. I said, why? Can't tell you, but I tell you, he's got to do it again.
The fault on the sound was John saying, they didn't bloody tell me about this, as he went over.
Once we were up there, and we'd been up there a few minutes, John started to relax.
That's it.
Oh.
How are you?
Fine.
Good.
It's the experience of a lifetime, actually.
It is, isn't it, really?
Right then.
Then, just as he was getting his confidence, the steeplejacks had to go over the side of the parapet in a bosun's chair arrangement, so you had to lower yourself down to get under the parapet to clean off all the pigeon muck.
Kneel down on the base there.
If I kneel down, I'll start praying, I think.
Again, when he realised he had to hang over the side of the parapet, he wasn't too happy about that either.
Get the other foot. That's it.
Down.
If you look over the edge, you can see all the footholds. Just...
I'd rather not look over the edge, actually. It's one of those sort of sights that you can do without.
Move down a couple more feet. That's it, get your hands underneath there. Maybe don't scrape your hands on there too much.
Yeah.
OK?
Yeah. You coming down to join me?
Yes, I'm coming right down there now. OK? Do you feel all right?
Yeah, it feels fine.
Good.
But again, in his professional way, he overcame that nervousness and was chatting to the steeplejacks as if he'd been at it all his life.
I suppose before I go down, I had to go right to the very top.
Why not?
There was insurance. I mean, all BBC filming was covered by insurance, but there wasn't any additional insurance.
I got into terrible trouble with the Home Secretary, I think it was. They were not pleased that he didn't have any safety harnesses. It wouldn't happen now. Oh, a great deal of what we did we'd be in prison for now.
The hat's a bit dirty. Never mind. I don't suppose anybody will see that.
We were all in a bit of awe of him for it, really. We thought, blooming heck, Johnny, well done, mate. You know, could only be proud of it.
John was undoubtedly the action man. John never, ever said he was scared of anything. That was the beauty of working with John.
I shall prepare myself.
He had a bit of Yorkshire grit about him. He did this, oh, well, let's just do it then, come on, let's stop messing about.
And that's what warmed him to the audience in the first place. But there was somebody doing marvellous things.
I still can't do it.
All these things started when I was doing a film with Christopher Trace. They had a tower crane which was very new then. So I suggested to Trace that he climb up the tower crane, and Trace said, "You're joking. I've got no head for heights. I'm not going to go up one of those."
Right now, let's go over and join John.
So I asked Johnny, and he said, "Oh, I'll have a go."
John broke away from the rigidity of television. He did things that no one had done before. He did things that no one would do today. That takes spirit, courage, an attitude. Obviously, it was his job, but he was doing it for the viewers.
And this thing is wobbling up here.
So he's on a radio mic. There's no direction going on. He can't hear anyone on the ground. He's left on his own to produce a piece of television.
I then had to try to shin up the mast to reach the top called the button. I just couldn't manage it. My legs were feeling like lead. I decided this was the moment to give way to the expert, though changing places on a ladder 127 feet from the ground had its dicey moments.
What he did was incredibly dangerous, a lot of the time. But not coming back with the film was worse.
For one, for two, for three, and...
I'd gone to St. Moritz in Switzerland to go down the bob run with the RAF team.
I actually managed to go with them on the trip to St. Moritz. I thought, looking at it, I'm glad I'm not doing this, but, you know, John was up for it, and a really nice RAF team who were taking him on board.
My driver was John Blocky. John was giving me the ride of a lifetime. We shot round every corner perfectly and got our speed up to around 90 miles an hour.
I was standing next to, I think it was John Blocky's wife, and you could hear on the loudspeaker system what was happening on each run.
But we didn't know that ahead of us there was a hole in the ice wall, and by 1,000,000 to 1 chance, we hit it.
And then suddenly, she said, "Oh, my goodness, they've had a crash."
I was strapped upside down in the bob and swept along for 100 metres. On the final bend, the bob righted itself and shot through the finishing post with John Blocky still in it. I too went through the finishing post, but I was too dazed to notice.
I couldn't get out the sledge, yeah. I was hemmed up against the ice.
He was extremely lucky to survive. You could see the way the guys put their arms around him and walked him off the run at the end. They knew.
What happened to John?
John's fine. John's all right.
I thought, oh, God, this could be major. But, no, he was lucky. I mean, you know, he just got really badly bruised.
I look at myself, I actually am an average person. I'm just lucky.
He enjoyed a very happy childhood, the first few years of his life. This is a period that John glossed over. He didn't want to talk about it. He got a chance to go to Rishworth School, which was a boarding school. Hated every moment of it, he said.
I was always in trouble. I was a bit of a tearaway when I was little. I gave up Greek after 3 weeks. I gave up Latin after 3 years, French after 4. If I'd been at school any longer, I would have given up English. But I was a gymnast, rugby player, cross-country runner, so I had all the things for being able to swing on trapezes and jump out of aeroplanes for Blue Peter.
He said when you finally left school on your leaving term, the headmaster would have you all into the office to shake your hand and say good luck for the future and all that. And so John was lined up with the rest of the people who were leaving on that particular term. And the headmaster headed down the row, and when he got to John, he said, bottomly, I just don't know what's going to happen to you.
5, 4, 3.
This is Lulu. She's from Chessington Zoo, and she's being, she's leading in her keeper, Alec, and she's also leading us in as well.
John Noakes is responsible for one of the most memorable moments in British television history.
Let's just see if I can take the leg there and see if I can hold it.
We had an item with a baby elephant who came from Chessington Zoo.
Give her a bucket of water and see if that'll... Come here, Lulu.
Settle her down.
There you are. There's the bucket of water.
I've been feeding her.
Well,
The inevitable happened. I mean, it was literally in one end and out the other.
in Ceylon, even the male elephants don't have tusks. And,
we're having a slight penny down here, a slight problem.
And then Lulu began to defecate.
Alec, thank you very much indeed. Can you...
Yes,
Maybe I'll just stand back a little bit.
It was right up Noakes Street, really, because rather than pretend it wasn't happening, with his sense of humour and his built-in anarchy, John just took to this.
well, as I was saying, we'll see all sorts of very exciting things.
I should go that way. I should go that way.
I should leave it here to have a drink, Alec.
I mean, Lulu the elephant, it's one of the best bits of television of all time. I feel so proud and lucky that I was there. No one knows I was there. They know Val was there because they can remember that she tried to keep it going. I just stood there laughing. I'd gone.
Happy as we're obviously going to be when we're on holiday.
Oh, get off me foot!
Johnny really made it much more fun than perhaps it might have been otherwise. You know, and I don't think the elephant actually had stood on his foot.
They're going away on holiday too. They're going to spend it out in the country, but Lulu won't be there. Oh, dear. How are you doing?
John was making it into a variety act.
And there she goes out the studio. Farewell. Oh, dear, I've trod right in it. Well, that's what I was saying about our animals. Well, they say it's lucky, don't they? And we're having a lucky programme today.
That was absolutely John at his very, very best. I don't think he ever topped that. He tried.
This is what's called getting left holding on to the cup of tea. Run it, Johnny, run it.
You eat the fish and chips.
Right. Come on, Macro. Not going to be much time.
How are you doing? All right? You nearly. Can you sit up? Oh, hey, that's my finger. Yes, I know. Oh, you take the food away from a lion and he'll murder you. Oh, look, it's all over the place. All right, all right. I'm not going to take it away from you. It's all yours. Help. Will you give me a kiss?
And behave yourself.
If there was a joke there, he would do it.
Yeah, but I want to say, Johnny, his white bits have come up really white already, haven't
And his black bits are very black. They are, aren't they? Yes.
Obviously, after the programme's over, we're going to continue.
Oh, sorry, I thought
we're
you were
going to continue.
We were out to have some fun.
I'll get a dirty great big headache if I go over the front.
Johnny's first thing always, whenever we did anything, was, let's have some fun.
Practice will win out in the end. Oh, Pete.
The elements of the real John went into the clown character that he evolved for himself, his clown suit that he would sort of put on to perform.
Buy that from the chemist too.
But when he wasn't required to perform, you didn't see the clown.
Use proper makeup, don't use anything out of it.
That John Noakes that you saw on screen was what I always called his performance mode. And he invented this madcap guy. He invented John Noakes.
I started life as an engine fitter in the RAF, and then I joined BOAC. And I always wanted to be an actor or a pilot or a doctor. You know, the brains for being a pilot or a doctor. So I became an actor. You don't need brains for that.
He decided that he would change his name by deed poll. He took his name from his stepfather, Alfie Noakes, who was quite a well-known professional trumpeter at the time. And he became the John Noakes that we know. When I first came across him, he was definitely a starving actor, which was quite appealing.
He was spotted by an agent, and that sort of rather changed things for John.
It was actually the most boring time of my life. The same play for 5 months, when you're doing this same thing night after night from the same spot, same words. I couldn't do it. And after that, came back and then started getting bits in television, still doing rep in the meantime.
By chance, he ended up going at very short notice to work for a friend of his who was a theatre producer who was working at Leicester Theatre at the time.
I was up at Leicester Rep doing a guest appearance as Willie Mossop in Hobson's Choice. And my picture appeared in the Leicester Mercury. Biddy Baxter, who was the editor, the boss, her mum comes from Leicester. So Biddy's mum sent the local paper down to Biddy, and she saw the picture and wrote to me.
I thought it might be an idea to audition him and see if he'd like to work on the programme.
There's a friend of ours, John Noakes, up at the top of the hill now. He hasn't been skiing either, but he's going to have a go. Are you ready, John?
OK, Chris.
He did a fairly disastrous audition. But there was just something. There was always something about Noakes that made you think there is something worth persevering with here.
Oh, well done, Chris.
Well, I kept on my feet. Well, now for some really splendid pictures of skiers speeding down the French Alps.
He didn't find it easy at all, and I see he had a tremendous problem learning his lines.
Well, the Royal Horse Artillery use all these tools to clean their horses, but things weren't quite the same at Wellington Barracks. Because, now why weren't they the same? For the life of me, I can't just remember for the moment. Now this is a problem.
I enjoyed being other people, pretending to be other people. I enjoyed dressing up, putting on the makeup, and false whiskers, and saying somebody else's words. Myself, I hadn't anything to offer, but I liked to be somebody else. And then sat in front of the camera wanted to see me.
So, I wonder if you can guess what this is.
And it was a terrifying battle. It was quite frightening, in fact.
Well, I've often wondered what would happen if you got one of these stuck on your head, like this. Ugh.
I remember thinking he was good and you know, very lively and fun.
Now, just take a look at this for a cabbage. I've never seen anything like it. Well, look at it. It's huge.
Is it bigger than me?
It's almost as big as your head.
Shall we measure it?
Yeah, we've got to take a measure there.
Yes,
just pop it round.
Gradually, he found the character he wanted to play, and he did it to perfection, really. And I think he stopped worrying.
John was someone who defied the norms of television in the 60s and 70s.
On your marks, champion going first. Get set. Are you ready? Go. Hey, oh, now,
He was irreverent.
Don't hit it too hard.
He was funny. He could be spontaneous.
How long's the society been formed now? 160. Any founder members here?
It was great hearing someone who just sounded like someone you might have heard in the shop next door or in your school, rather than somebody who was speaking to you very carefully.
Then, if I press it in the left eye...
He was probably one of the first people on television with real regional accents.
This is one of the latest things in T-shirts to come out of Japan, and its designer, Kansai Yamamoto, and I had to write that on my wrist, comes from Tokyo. And this...
He enjoyed it when we had big items in the studio.
We're on fire. We're on fire, so just get the firemen in behind.
When Purves arrived, they became great buddies.
I think he's won.
Valerie Singleton's boyfriend at the time said they were like a couple of soldiers on leave.
Mr. Peter Purves. Mr. Peter Purves.
He was never the most approachable person at first, but we got on absolutely wonderfully virtually from day one.
give me a hand, we'll open the box.
It's very lively, isn't it?
Here we are.
Hello.
Hello. And out he goes.
Pete was wonderful to bounce off, but when Pete wasn't there, the Shep was there, so I could bounce off him. And gradually started talking to the dog.
There we are. Yes, you know that one, don't you? So
of course you have.
Yeah. He's got sharp teeth. But yeah, you have got sharp teeth, that's right. Where's your bone? So what it really needs now is a proper name. Oh, sorry, I wasn't really watching that. You see, I've got 100 lines of spelling
John really loved that dog.
C-A-T-E-D. Thanks, Shep. I know you know how to spell it.
And I think Shep understood John. I know it sounds incredible.
I'm not sure what he's going to do, because they're fairly well spread out. He's doing a big circle there.
They were a double act, John and Shep. Shep played Ernie Wise to John's Morecambe, basically.
The bark frightened Shep more than it.
Is this little friend?
He's a little friend with 4 legs. He's a bit like you, a dog. There he is.
Introductions are unnecessary. I have made contact.
Shep also knew the rules of the game. He knew how to behave if he wanted to. Not that he did.
Give my regards to the doctor.
Affirmative.
I've got a big check.
Exactly like John, he got a rebellious streak. He was another natural subversive. They were an incredibly good pair.
Oh, you might go off with the doctor to another planet.
They made a waxwork of John and Shep for Madame Tussauds. I'm quite jealous, because they never made a waxwork of me.
Got a very good likeness, actually, especially his eyes.
The people who watch the programme are not just children. They go from 4 to 94, or 104 in fact. You get your old age pensions, go down the docks, all the dockers know you, anywhere you go.
Okay, my better half.
He was shy. He didn't like celebrity. And I used to get a lot of mail, and, you know, there were people from all walks of life, and they all sort of felt that they were John Noakes' friends.
Don't worry, you got Percy Thrower here to talk to. You can talk about your Brussels sprouts.
He wasn't in there to become a star. He wasn't there to be a personality. He was there to enjoy doing things.
It was last spring that Alex Jackson, the leader of the Falcons, invited me to jump with his team, but from a much higher altitude than I'd ever jumped before, from 5 miles up.
Forward right, all together.
The Falcons loved Noakes. There was nothing of the grand BBC presenter coming to be with the peasants. He was one of them.
All together, go!
This guy was going to come in. If he didn't cut the mustard, then he was probably going to be rejected. But he did on every level. Yeah, everybody liked John, and we didn't have any problems with him. I think what impressed me about John at the time was that things can go wrong, but because we said, if you do this, it'll be okay, he just accepted that. And there was this confidence that, okay, he will do it. He was nervous, but controlled. And there was never a concern about him freaking out or doing something silly.
He said it was the nearest thing you could get to flying like a bird. Yes, he really did enjoy it.
I remember we flew down to him, and the boys had done their job very well. They linked up with John into a formation so that John was not flying on his own. On his right was the movie cameraman, Bobby Souter, and a guy called Ray Willis was flying around taking stills. Then the formation began to build a little.
Somebody else is coming down. It's Ray. Ray's joined us now. Ray with his still camera.
And then somebody hit it hard.
He's coming in rather fast. And I'm upside down.
He flipped over onto his back and then recovered himself as he'd been taught. We had originally decided that it would be really cool if John could do a commentary on the way down, but it could have interfered with his oxygen supply, and that was out of the question. So we couldn't mic him up. in any way, shape or form. So, secrets out, it was dubbed.
Still hanging on to me. Whoever crashed into me, I don't know who it is.
I think it worked quite well. A lifelong secret.
And we've got a bit of cloud down there. 120 miles an hour straining. And you can feel the speed.
People always talk about the 5-mile jump. And of course, if you do your maths, 25,000 feet falls a little bit short of actually 5 miles. But there was always that temptation, just to sneak those extra few feet and make a 5-mile descent. So on all the courses that we did, we would always rely on the captain just to let the aircraft drift up to the 5 miles. So it was semi-legal, but very safe. It was always done safe.
And very soon now we're going to be opening.
We used to do it on each course. We did it for John.
Only feet to go and touchdown.
John just said, you know, job done. And then we all got on the transport and went and had a beer.
That's all over the place. Head over here.
The Falcons had been terrific. Not many crack teams would take on a learner like me, and thanks to them, I'd achieved one of my greatest ambitions. It was a bit like an overgrown schoolboy's job. I was a Peter Pan, really. Towards the end, I was very tired and exhausted. I'd worked 12.5 years, and I'd done all these things, and I don't think any of them really ever realised how difficult it was.
You're going to be a Tarzan, haven't you?
I think there's a sense of honour, really, that you offer them something else. And John did go with Noakes.
I've been since I saw thee. I saw a young little click. Oh, I don't know if this is little Climore. I'm in trouble. Chippy, bit more chocolate.
When he did his Go With Noakes series around, you know, I mean, it's great. Him and his dog going off doing daft things.
Shep and I had stumbled on the monthly gathering of the Egremont Gurning Club.
You can't sort of move it around with your hands and hope it sticks there. No.
The nice thing about John was he loved people, and whenever we took him into a situation, he wanted to get on with those people.
I can't get me.
He'd actually take more time to do that than most presenters would.
He's a world champion. The sheep are over there. Remember your motto. Pull yourself together, all right? Now steady.
Shep had this instinct of knowing where the camera was, I think.
He's a good boy.
And would position himself or run around within shot to order.
Lie down, lie down. Pull the sheep, get off. Good heaven.
I think possibly that would have been his happiest time on television.
That was Egremont. We've never been there before. We might not ever go there again.
What are your good memories of Go With Noakes, do you think?
I think the old dog, really. He was a super fella. I've got some very sad news. He died on Saturday.
Oh.
And I won't get over it.
John could be quite emotional, and if he was, he was. It's no sham, no pretense.
Well, thank you very much for coming in, and I'm sorry we've had to end on this rather sad note.
Well, I actually wanted to say it myself. I didn't want anybody else to say it.
When Shepard died, I mean, that broke his heart.
Did you have any qualms, though, about giving up a very successful television career?
None whatsoever, no.
What about the fame? Do you miss
Yeah,
that?
but the fame is in the minds of others. It's an abstract quantity. It doesn't exist, really. I think you ought to come around. Vic, we're going to come around.
Okay. I'll give you a hand.
John was able to not have any sort of backward looks. Bit of a maverick in a way, and he had a happy knack of being able to change direction, not take life too seriously, wasn't particularly absorbed by material things. He was in a way of quite a free spirit, really. This was going to be the next phase of our life. We're all set to sail off into the sunset with no plan other than to go to the Caribbean, really, and see what we found there. So that's what we did. But unfortunately, we didn't get there. We left Gibraltar with not a wonderful weather forecast, but not a particularly bad one. But unfortunately, it got worse and worse. We were just off the North African coast when the weather really came in with a vengeance.
Gigantic waves that I saw. I looked down a valley and looked up. As far as the eye could see, it was this wall of water, smooth, streaked with spume. I think we went up it. And we went up it and fell off and down. The wave broke on top of us. The windows caved in, the cabin split. The boat was half full of water. The mast came down. Then the starter motor went underwater and I couldn't start it again.
Later, we saw a tanker coming. That was the most frightening part of the whole thing, this tanker trying to come alongside. We were sort of trying to manoeuvre as best we could. You know, they were up there and we were down. Oh, it was just a nightmare situation. But anyway, we did get alongside. They pulled us in, and finally we scrambled up scrambling nets and onto the boat.
There is a saying that old Blue Peter presenters never escape. They're dragged back, they're thrown out of aeroplanes, they climb cliffs. Today I'm here to go right up there.
We would like to give you the programme's highest award.
Oh, great.
A gold? A gold badge, there you
well
go.
done.
In the later years, when John was older, you'd turn up and do the reunions.
Oh, that was worth it.
You know, he was a bit like the Laurence Olivier of Blue Peter presenters. He would be the one that would always just manage to grab the attention from everyone else.
The 50th anniversary of Blue Peter, we went to the Buckingham Palace to have tea with Her Majesty the Queen in the salon. That's how they filmed us arriving and everything else. You knew he was going to do it. Up the big grand staircase, tripped. You can't see a set of steps without falling over. You know, way on, long after Blue Peter, we were still very good friends. He was my mate, my pal John.
We'll die. I'm going to die. Well, not for a few hundred years.
It's a super life.